Turn me up just a little bit. Yeah, it's that man space vibe. Step in the zone, microphone check. Russ and Les got the real intellect. Talk smooth like jazz on a late night set. With a convo deep and the topics connect. From the struggles to the wins, they address it with grace. Drop lines so cool, you can feel the bass. Two kings of the craft, man, you know the rest. Kick back, pour a drink, welcome to the space. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. You go chillin' with Russ and Les. Hang out, cause now you vibing with nothing but the best. Space forever.
Welcome in. Hey, it is another episode of the Russ and Company series of the Man Space podcast. And in the Russ and Company series, I interview some of the most amazing people all across the country. And today is no different. Now, one of the themes that we like to talk about on the Man Space podcast is emotions and how a lot of times that as men, we don't show them. Well, today I have a special guest on the show, and she is a psychologist, a New York Times bestselling author, advisor, and mentor. She has years of experience from working with preschoolers through adults. And she focuses on the emotional development of men and how today's culture robs the males of their access to their full range of emotions. So please welcome my guest, Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst.
Russ, wonderful introduction you've given. And I'm excited to hear you say that your podcast focuses on emotion for men.
Yes. That was the great theme of our show and how this was really put together, and talking about the things that men don't necessarily talk about.
Right.
And just trying to bring light and awareness to those things. And I'm glad to have you on because that is your focus and your specialty. So it's always good to have somebody who is more prepared and smarter than myself and my co-host in these areas. So I'm glad to have you on. But if you could, please share a little bit about yourself with the Man Space Nation and how you got into the world of psychology.
So how I got into psychology is really a fun story. So I was a math major. I loved math. Math was easy for me. And so I wanted to be a math teacher in high school.
Okay.
I admired my own high school math teacher, and I thought that's a great profession for me. I'll be really comfortable. I get the summers off. So that'll be tons of fun. And then I ran into calculus 2. And I had a goal in college. I wanted to finish in 3 years, not 4. And I wanted to finish with a 4.0 with straight A's. And I was on track to do that. And then I ran into calculus 2. We had a new professor who never really turned around and talked to the class. She talked to the blackboard.
Gosh.
It was hilarious, but not so hilarious when you were experiencing it, only in retrospect.
I've been there.
She filled the front blackboard, write with her right hand, erase with her left hand. I mean, it was a nightmare. And everybody's looking at each other. And, we meet after class. We try to teach each other calculus 2. We're not real good at it.
Yes.
And so fortunately, I got a D in that class. I passed it, right? I don't have to take it again. And then I immediately flipped my major and my minor. And my minor was psychology. And I think this is one of those things that happens in life for people where you think you're headed down path A.
Right.
And life has a different plan for you. Once you on path B, so, God's going to do anything it takes to move you into path B. And so failing that class moved me into psychology as my major, and I've never looked back. I've loved it. I've really
Yeah.
enjoyed every minute of it.
Wow. I had a professor that was like that, a science professor,
Mhm.
and he had 4 boards on the
Oh,
screen.
oh, no.
And he would start on board 1, he would move to board 2, and then he had a rolling one
Oh, wow.
that would roll over and cover up the first board,
Cover
but
the
he
one.
never and we're sitting there in an auditorium style seating,
Yeah,
and he never looked at us. He
yeah.
talked to the board
He
the
does.
entire time.
I know this.
Hated it. I was like, "This is not working out for me. I don't like this. This is."
Right.
I'm like, "I'm going to the army instead. I'm making changes.
Any place. I'll go any place.
Any any place else but here."
That's right.
So, yes, I definitely understand how that one thing can make that change for you.
Yeah, it was powerful. And then I, got my PhD, started teaching graduate school and
Okay.
undergraduates. And after getting tenure, I decided I didn't want to teach. I
Mm,
wanted to
okay.
do. And
Yeah.
so I had the fortune, great fortune, of having another psychologist hire me
Mhm.
to do testing for her.
Okay.
So I did tons of evaluations of
Mhm.
adults mainly.
Hmm.
And then she went overseas for a year and left me in charge of her practice. So
Yeah.
that practice, expanded for me
Mhm.
dramatically. And then I moved on to just run my own practice.
Wow.
When I did that, I had a friend who ran a preschool. So
Mhm.
she referred little boys to me for evaluations, thinking
Mhm.
that maybe they have attention deficit because they like to
Mm.
move a lot.
Right, right.
And, they're not so cooperative. They won't sit in the circle and listen to the story. So that's normal boy behavior. That's
Right.
really not attention deficit. So a
Mhm.
few of them did have attention deficit, but most of them were normal, healthy boys. And they just can't function the way a girl does because, interestingly,
Mhm.
boys come into this world with a bigger range of emotional expression than girls do. So they're not going to sit
Mm.
in the circle and fold their hands and
Right.
listen. They want motion,
Mm.
right? They interact with the world around them
Yeah.
through motion. So,
Mhm.
maybe it's fiddling with their hands, maybe it's
Right.
elbowing the person next to them,
Mhm.
it's kind of getting up and needing to walk around, but those are normal behaviors, and we need to understand that at the preschool level.
Right.
That's normal, natural behavior. It's not odd. It's
Mhm.
not something to call out as there's something wrong with this little boy. He's just being a normal, natural boy.
Mm. So, why is it that you developed an interest in helping, boys and men and things like that?
So, as the beginning of my practice is
Mhm.
seeing preschool boys, what happened as a result of that is that the fathers of those boys became really interested in
Mm.
understanding their own histories. Most
Mm.
had similar experiences to what their boys were
Mhm.
having. And as they watch their boys go through this, they're replaying their own history,
Yeah.
but they're also functioning as fathers and they're irritated
Yeah.
at the way their boys are being labeled or treated. And so that brought a lot of the fathers into my practice. And then, they referred their friends. And
Mhm.
for several years, my practice calendar was just filled with adult men. And I got a
Mhm.
super education from the boys that I worked with, from the men that I worked with. And then,
Mhm.
they end up referring their teenagers. So
Wow.
I have experienced the male living in this culture
Mhm.
across the lifespan. And it's a fascinating story.
Yeah. So do you ever get pushback? Because there is a narrative out there that
Mhm.
only a man can teach a boy how to be a man. So do you ever get that pushback?
Actually, I have really not gotten that
Okay,
pushback.
that's
You
good.
would you
Yeah.
would think that, there'd be more confrontation based
Mhm.
on that. But the truth of the matter is, even though I'm the psychologist facilitating their taking a deeper dive into their own emotional experience, they're educating me just as much as I'm educating them. So it's a real cooperative
Right,
process. It's not a power over process
right.
in any way. And that education I've turned into books, right? To try to help other men
Mhm.
and to facilitate a change in the way that they parent their boys. And I'm hoping eventually it will facilitate a change in the way that we run our preschools.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Now, one of the things that you've talked about in your past is how culture limits boys emotionally
Mhm.
and their development. So, what are some of the earliest ways you see that happening?
It happens in infancy, and
Mm,
it's done
okay.
unintentionally.
Right.
Right? We know from research that boys come into this world with a broader range of emotional expression than girls do. Now,
Hmm.
that's a wowzer, right? To think that they just naturally have more emotional breadth than little girls do, but it's true. But by and large, they get raised, cared for by females, not by males.
Right.
And
Right.
that's changing in this
Hmm.
culture. There are many more men staying home to raise their children, and that is a big boon for boys.
Hmm.
That will help boys tremendously because women do have a narrower range of emotional expression. So when their infant boy goes higher, gets more
Right.
excited, more exuberant,
Hmm.
right, making squealing noises, mother does this, right? She backs up a
Mm,
little bit, all right? Or she frowns a little bit.
right.
She's curious. What's going
Yeah.
on here? Why are
Right.
you doing this? Same thing is true if the boy is crying, distressed on the negative end.
Right.
He's going to be more intense than the female. Mother's going to do the same thing. So she's not doing it intentionally. She's doing it naturally, but
Mm,
she also doesn't know that truth about boys. If we educated women in kind of the prenatal
mhm.
classes to understand, look, your little guy is going to surprise you
Right.
with some higher notes and with some lower notes. So anticipate it. Be ready for it, right? Try not to discourage it. Let him have access to
Right.
that full range of feelings. But right now, we don't.
Mm,
And so the infant male is, we all come into this world with feelings, emotions as the only resource that we have as infants. We can't talk, we can't move. All right. So reading the emotion in the room and managing our own emotional expression
mhm.
is the way that we communicate. And infants are brilliant about this, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to give them 3 or 4 examples, right? One example will do. So if
Mhm.
it does that, right, that boy immediately goes, oops, that's not going to help me survive,
Right.
right? So I got to cut that out. I'm not going to do that again because it definitely won't help me
Mhm.
survive, right? So male infants narrow the range of expression
Mhm.
immediately. And then when they start to walk around, when we put them on their feet, do you know
Mhm.
what we do next to boys? It was done to you.
Go pat them on the butt and go. You're fine. Go.
Yes, that is it. That is it. Nothing wrong with you. All right.
Yeah.
And definitely don't cry.
Yeah.
Right. We let our little girls cry. A little toddler girl can cry whenever she wants, as long as she wants. A little boy gets the message, stop crying. Right? We are blatant about it.
Yeah.
We do not want our boys to cry.
Yeah.
Now, that's a normal, natural, healthy reaction, right?
Yeah.
To being hurt or insulted or left out. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons that you feel sad and that you cry when you're a toddler, but we smash them for a little boy. We don't let our little boys have access to that full range of emotional expression.
Wow.
It drops out, right? They
Yeah.
stop crying. They don't do it anymore. And then, they get to school, and if they're doing anything soft or tender, they get made fun of. So let's just
Yes.
at the preschool level, right? If you head into the kitchen area, you're gonna get made fun of. If you pick up a doll, you're definitely
if we're gonna be made fun of. Yeah.
fun of, right? You can play with the trucks, you can play with the blocks, you can play with the army men, but don't you dare pick up a
Yeah.
doll.
Pick up a doll. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then,
Absolutely.
and then as adults, we expect you guys to be able to be soft and tender with a baby, right? Well, why would you be, right?
Right. You were never taught how to be. Right.
You never got to practice that. The girls get to practice it all the time. So, of course, they immediately know how to be soft and tender. Boys do not, men do not. And you can't cry. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Right? You can't cry. You lose an opportunity for a promotion. Your best friend dies, right?
Right.
But hey, you can't cry, right? It's insane what we do. And then somehow we expect you to develop deep, intimate connections to the opposite sex.
Right.
Tough. I mean, some guys manage it, but the divorce rate is 50% or more, right? So at least half of them out there don't manage it well. And our jails are full of men. They're full of men. They're not full of women. They're full of men because there's no ability at that adult level to
emotional release
emotions and to name them and talk about them. And so what do? You use action, you use your body.
Right.
And once you use your body to demonstrate what you're feeling, you're in trouble. And sometimes you're in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the narrative that women teach the emotions, the love, and the empathy, and men teach the discipline, what do you, in your expertise, have to say to that?
I will use my mother's favorite word, bullshit. So there should be no rule out there that women can have access to this range of feelings, but men can't. And men can have access to this range of feelings, but women can't. That's insane. We are humans.
Yeah.
So we experience that full range of emotions. But because a guy cannot express the tender end of the range, they swallow those feeling states. They turn into heart attacks. They turn into stomach problems. They turn into cancer. I mean, they turn into all kinds of medical problems because your body does hold feeling states. If
Right.
you're going to tamp it down, you're tamping it into your stomach and your heart and your liver.
Yeah. Yeah. So that the stress level that you're holding in raises your cortisol level, which is adding that visceral fat. Then
Ah,
that visceral fat adds around your belly and then moves
right.
to your heart, which leads into the, yeah, I understand it
You know?
100%.
Mhm.
Um, that little boy has now become a man and
Mm.
now looking for a mate.
Right.
Um,
Mm.
one of the things that my co-host and I we've talked about, because we've both experienced this in
Mhm.
back in our single days, is that you struggle finding a woman that you can be emotional in front of.
That's right. That's
How it how can a man in your expertise deal with that? Because a lot of times, even from as an adult,
Mhm.
a woman may feel that you're soft
That's
if you do show that emotion in front of you. You know,
Mhm.
so we've gone from being a little kid,
Mm.
now we're adults and still can't show that emotion.
That's absolutely right. Right. And it is a crime. It's a
Mm,
real shame that we have done this to the male population. And the thing that we're doing to the male population now is even a double down,
mm,
right? Men, if you look at television ads,
yeah,
are buffoons, right? They're
yeah,
portrayed as weak idiots
yeah.
in a lot of the
Mhm.
commercials on television. So we've taken another step down into the dungeon,
Right.
right? And we're shaming men in
Mm,
advertising on the
yeah,
television, all right? And so that's a model for every little boy out there and every teenager and every grown man as
yeah,
well, all right? And so women say that they want a man who can be tender, who can access his feelings, all right? We
mm,
advertise that,
right.
all right? But it's a lie. We don't have the skill set
Mm,
to be available, to be a
mm,
safe container for a male to disclose his deeper feelings, to
right.
disclose his sadness.
Mhm.
We say we want it, but the truth of the matter is, we don't exercise that at all. The guy comes home from work, right? He's
Mm,
obviously disappointed,
mhm.
right? Maybe he missed a sale, maybe he missed an
Right.
opportunity to be promoted. Doesn't make any difference what it is, right? He wanted something, he didn't get it, right? And he comes home, he's definitely down. She will ask, what happened? What's going on with you? He will give a headline, right? I had this great opportunity today and I was just so close, right?
Right.
And then Joe Schmo came in and just stole it away from me. And she will placate. She will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey.
Right.
All right. I know that was really important to you."
Mhm.
And then she will have to go check something on the stove. All right. She'll find an exit. Yeah. She'll,
Have you been watching My House? No. No.
right. I mean, she'll find an exit, so sorry. I was just in the middle of, dusting the family room, whatever it is. Right. And so she'll leave. But trust me,
Mhm.
if a girlfriend of hers came to visit with exactly the same mood,
Yeah.
exactly the same story, she would say, "Sit down. All right.
Mhm.
I'm getting us coffee. I want to hear this whole story."
Yeah.
So she has the skill set. She has the skill set to sit down and listen and probe
Mhm.
and draw that other person out. She chooses not to use it with a male because
Yeah.
she's been socialized the same way the guy has been
Mhm.
socialized, right? That men are only supposed to have strong feelings, brave feelings, competent feelings, right? They're not really supposed to grieve, right? But if you've lost something that you were headed for, you're grieving,
Yeah.
right? And I should be able to do the same thing I do with my girlfriends and say, hey, sit down. All right, I'll bring you a glass of wine. All right, we're going to talk through this. I want to hear all about it. And that's a rare woman that will do that with their husband.
I like that. I like that. You know, I sat, and when my wife and I were dating, I sat and we were watching a movie, and it was a little bit of emotional, so
Yeah.
made me, you know, cry a little bit. And,
Yeah.
and she saw me, and I'm like, well, I got to marry her now because she saw me.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how many marriages happen exactly that way.
I was like, well, can't let her go.
I'm in trouble and you can't go tell anybody.
That's
So
right.
I'll
She's got to
marry
stay
her
here
now.
with me.
That's great. I love it.
But as adults, we all carry some sort of emotional baggage.
Yep.
And at times, you know, a lot of this baggage is picked up from childhood.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you feel as emotion-wise that boys tend to lose first, and how that ends to show up later in life?
All right. So, first of all, that emotional baggage actually
Mhm.
starts in the last trimester in utero,
Oh, wow.
right? Your brain is functioning and
Yeah.
you're hearing things, you're experiencing motion. So, the last trimester in utero, your brain is recording emotional pieces.
Yes.
And as soon as you're born, right,
Mhm.
everything is alive.
Yeah.
Your brain is tuned in to everything that's happening around you, and you do have full access to feeling states. And so it's remarkable that we don't maintain that, but our brain does.
Mhm.
So you come into the world with the ability to feel any emotion that exists. You never lose that. And I really want to emphasize that. You never lose that. It does get boxed up.
Mm.
And for some people, it gets put into a steel cage that gets put into a steel safe.
Mhm.
Right? Your access to it is just
Right.
way too hard to go after it.
Mhm.
But you still have the capability of finding those feelings. And one of the things I've done, and I'm going to encourage all of your listeners to go to my website, and under the resources, you can download a list of feelings. And I think it's
Mm.
3 or 4 pages, 3 or 4 columns of words on each page. And you will immediately know that your brain has held on to every feeling a human being is capable of having. Because we could take that same scene where you got disappointed, you came home from work. If your wife were smart,
Mhm.
she'd have a feelings list, right? And she'd hand it to you and she'd say, hey, look through this. Tell me what you're feeling right now.
Oh,
You
wow.
read
Okay.
through those pages and it will
Yeah.
pop up, right? A word that you wouldn't normally use
Mhm.
day to day will just jump off the page, all right?
Oh, interesting.
Feeling demoralized, right?
Yeah.
Probably is something that you wouldn't use on a day-to-day basis, but
But I think we've all been there at some point.
yeah, it will jump off the page and then you can have a conversation. Now I know what I'm experiencing. And when
Mhm.
I know what I'm experiencing, I can elaborate on it,
Yeah.
right? I can really get into a deeper conversation with you about what that means to me, not just in the present, but it'll get attached to, and 10 years ago, and when I was 6 and my dad did this to me, felt exactly the same way. The whole story
Yeah.
will unfold around a feeling state.
Mhm. You know, My wife and I, when we were actually dating, um, and then even early on in our marriage, when we come home from work and stuff, we would set aside 10 minutes.
Bravo.
You got 10 minutes to talk about your day,
Mm-hmm.
whether you got an event or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and phones were put away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just time for us to focus. You got 10 minutes after my 10 minutes up. Okay, you go 10 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
then after that, we didn't talk about work anymore.
Right.
Now let's talk about the rest of what we got going on. Let's
Right.
talk about things that we have, what we plan to do tomorrow or over the weekend or things like that.
Or even something that got triggered from,
Yeah.
years ago or childhood
Mhm.
because you saw something as you were driving to
Right.
work, or just to do that sharing. That is the strongest thing that I recommend to couples.
Mhm.
So many couples today
Yeah.
never sit down to talk to each other,
Mhm.
right? They share calendars,
Yeah.
things that
Right.
kids are doing, and all the responsibilities and the grocery list, and please pick up this medication. They
Right.
share all of that stuff, but they don't share themselves,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
after a few years, they're really distant from each
Right.
other. They don't know
Because you
each
set
other.
into routines.
Yeah, they're living with a stranger because they haven't
Mhm.
taken that 10
Yeah.
minutes, and that is incredibly valuable. You
Yeah.
guys were really wise.
Yeah. When you were talking about your feelings list, your emotions list,
Mhm.
and it just had me envisioning taking that list
Mhm.
and putting it into little strips or cards or something like that, and putting it into a little box and having like one room that you go and you sit in and you just pull that card and of how you're feeling, and you two just sit down and
Right,
you talk about it, and each of you just you know daily just pull
right,
your card, how you feeling, and then you talk about your emotions for however long and going about your day. I mean, that I think that's something that I would love to implement in my own house, just to have that list. So
right.
tell everybody your website. What is your website and where
So
can they
the
get that?
website is www.drvanderhorst.com. So it's www.drvanderhorst.com. I tell people to put a copy in the kitchen, a
Yeah.
copy in the area where you gather to watch television or play
Mhm.
games or do puzzles, and a copy in the bedroom. So you have easy access to that feeling sheet no matter where anybody is. And it's magic, right?
Mhm.
You just
Yeah.
read down that thing, scan that thing, turn the page and scan some more. And what you are feeling will just jump off the page. And then you can have a conversation.
Wow.
But if you can't identify what you're feeling, your
Mm.
vocabulary is very limited, particularly a male's
Yes.
vocabulary, right? I'm
Yeah.
pissed, I'm
Mm.
irritated, right? I mean,
Yep.
you guys have all kinds of language for things on the anger end
Mhm.
continuum, little or no language for things on the tender, loving,
Right.
intimate end of the feeling chart.
Right.
But you can access it. You can get there. You can expand your
Mm.
vocabulary.
So you have used the phrase, speaking of expanding the vocabulary, you've used the phrase emotional desert before.
Mhm. Right.
Can you describe what that looks like in adult men and how can we avoid falling into this?
So what it looks like is that both the culture and your own ego
Mhm.
have shut off access to feelings. You don't even
Mhm.
want to know what it might be. All right. I'll put money on it. All right. There are tons of males listening to this,
Mm.
experiencing this conversation, and their vocabulary for emotions is probably 4 to 5 words max. Right. That's real restriction.
Right.
All right. That's like strangling yourself. All right. Particularly when you realize you were born with access to a broader range of feeling states than your wife was. Right. You got one up on her.
Right.
let's use it. Let's access it. But it is so difficult for a guy to take that step and first recognize, I am limiting myself, and then to take the risk, because the social norm for men is if you head into emotion, you're a sissy.
Yeah.
Right? Or instead of being heterosexual, you must be homosexual,
Right.
right? And there's a real uh, strong urge among men to make fun of the
Right.
person who has emotional access and emotional language.
Yeah.
We put them down.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I that just kind of had me in my own little flashbacks of
Mhm,
childhood and just seeing,
mhm.
kids that I grew up with, and if they had any type of feminine tendencies,
Right.
and how they were
Mhm.
bullied and things
Right.
like that, and
That's right.
just, it's like, wow.
Mhm.
You don't think about how that plays, as a child. You definitely don't think about how that's going to play into them as an adult. But
Right.
man, that is wow.
That's
Um,
powerful. It's powerful. What we do to boys in this culture is really powerful.
Now, in the introduction that I read for you, I mentioned that you are a New York Times bestselling author. In your
Mhm.
book, Read, Reflect, and Respond, the 3 R's of growth and change. Tell us a little bit about that book.
This is a perfect place for every guy to start.
Mhm.
So the book is a journal book, but it's unlike any other journal you've ever seen. So on the left-hand page, there's an essay.
Mhm.
I've just written about anything that popped into my head, right?
Mm.
And then I collected 52 of them. So you have one a week. And you can approach them in any direction you want. I tell people to, look through the index and pick one. You don't need to go through it page 1 to page 52, right?
Right.
That would be stupid. But you need to respond to what you're emotionally feeling that
At that particular.
particular week, right?
Gotcha.
So pick an essay. And the facing page is very unusual. Most journal books have lines on the facing page, and they
Right.
expect you to write your answers, right?
Mhm.
Write
Correct.
what you're
Mhm.
experiencing. I don't. The facing page is blank. It has
Mm.
2 or 3 stimulating questions at the top of the page, but we represent the world in terms of language,
Mhm.
in terms of action,
Mhm.
and in terms of pictures. Those are the 3 ways that we represent the world around us. So the blank page gives you access to all of those, and the 2 that are not language are the ones that you have access to very early, right? You have access to those at birth. And I want to be able to tap into those memories as
Yeah.
well as the memories that you have stored in terms of language. You've stored memories in terms of action, and you've stored memories in terms of pictures. I want you to be able to tap into those. And when the page is blank, you will tap into those. It will just
Right.
pop out of your head. It doesn't take any effort. It will automatically pop out of your head, and the blank page gives you the opportunity to draw, to scribble. You could even tear the page if you wanted. All right. I tell people you have to tape it back together to read the essay on the other side. But, if that's what you need to do it, because that gives you access to feeling experiences. And that's the whole goal, is
Yeah.
your introduction to the wealth of feeling experiences that you have, and the wealth of feeling knowledge that you have. And once you can take ownership of that, then you're ready to take the next step, right? Maybe put yourself into therapy, maybe join a men's group. There are some wonderful men's groups developing all over the United States that have this goal in mind, which is to help men access the full range of their feelings and to do it in a group setting with the support of other guys so that you guys stop making fun of each other and start supporting each other and taking the risk yourself.
So what is next for you? Like, what upcoming projects that you may have coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on finishing a book for fathers on how to raise healthy sons.
Okay.
And that book will have not only pieces from the research, but it will have real stories from the men and the boys that I have worked with. So you can find your niche, right? You can identify with the stories of the men that I've worked with and the teenagers and the preschoolers that I've worked with.
That is so awesome. Definitely, when that book comes out, I would love to have you back on the show so we can talk about that book and promote it for you as well. We have one last thing before you go, and it is called The Last Word.
And now, The Last Word.
So, Dr. Gloria, we are in a society that frowns a lot of times on men getting help, especially psychology, any type of psychiatric help. How do you feel in your expertise that we go about getting rid of that stereotype?
I would say don't get rid of the stereotype. Take a risk, right? Bring the stereotype with you, right? And nowadays, a lot of therapy, my practice is done all online, right? So you can go into your closet, into your office, and access a really good therapist, and nobody else has to know, all right? So it is take the risk.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much for spending time with us here. I definitely appreciate the information that you've shared with our audience and taking time to just be with us here today. Manspace Nation, check out her website, drvanderhorst.com. Dr. Gloria, I appreciate you so much. I'm definitely going to be looking over the information. I am going to be downloading that list as well.
Good.
So, and in all, much success to you going forward, and definitely let's keep in touch because I definitely want to have you back when that book comes out.
Thank you. I'd love that.
Thank you so much, Manspace Nation. Until the next time, we are out of here.
No gimmicks, just game that my sure in sight. They shine like the city on a Friday night. Man talk, real talk, that's the way that you bless. Giving knowledge and some laughs in the same finesse. From life goes to the jokes that hit. They the tag team champs, yeah, legit with the wit. So pull up a chair, let the stress digest. From the beat drops, you know the rest. You go chillin' with Russ and